In this video, I'm going to explain to you the meaning behind the names of the 32 counties in Ireland. As I'm doing so, you'll see how closely connected they are to the Irish language. If you would like to learn more about Irish place names, Irish words, phrases, verbs and lots more, then hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click on the bell notification where you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. Anyway, back to this video. And let's start with my own county of Wexford. So the Irish for Wexford is LOCH GARMAN. LOCH GARMAN. And this means COMAN'S lake. And this was said to be named after a thief who was drowned in one of the waterways around Wexford. And the place was named after him subsequently. LOCH GARMAN. The Viking name for Wexford, because it does have a rich Viking past, is WEXFORD. WEXFORD. And this literally means the fjord of the mudflats. So mudflats are sediment deposits that sometimes accumulate on coastal wetlands. So Loch Garman in Irish, Corman's Lake, and the Viking name is WEXFORD. And Wexford today is pretty much an anglicisation of WEXFORD. So moving on to Wicklow then. Wicklow, in Irish, Wicklow is Kilvantyne. Kilvantyne. This means MHANTAIN's church, or the Church of MANTÁN. So MANTÁN was said to be a close friend and a disciple of St. Patrick, and he was hurt in a fight or a battle defending St. Patrick's honour, and it was said that he had his front teeth knocked out, and that's where the name, a kind of a nickname for Wicklow, comes from, the Church of the Toothless One, Church of the Man with No Teeth. But it is the Church of MANTÁN who had his teeth knocked out defending St. Patrick. Kilvantyne is Wicklow. Like Wexford, it has a rich Viking past, and its name Wicklow actually comes from, be it Danish or Norse, or I'm not really sure, but it comes from the Vikings, WICKLOW. WICKLOW. So it literally means the meadow of the Vikings, or the Viking meadow. But Kilvantyne in Irish, the Church of MANTÁN. Moving up then to the capital city of Dublin. So we kind of have two names for this. Let's start with DUBH. So this literally means the black pool. DUBH, the black pool. And this is said to originate when the River Poddle meets the Liffey. It formed a deep dark pool, and around this deep dark pool the city of Dublin grew, and that's where the name DUBH comes from. The other name for Dublin, probably slightly better known in Irish, is Biachlár. Biachlár. So this means the town of the hurdled ford. So a ford is like a river crossing, and hurdled is protected. And this river crossing was at a key strategic point where important routeways met, and the town was said to have grown out of this. So Biachlár means the town of the hurdled ford. So moving back down to the southeast then, and Waterford. So in Irish it's Port Láirge, and this means LÁRAG'S port. So Lárag was said to be an ancient mythical Celtic figure, possibly a member of the Daoise clan. Waterford is sometimes known as the Daoise county, and the Daoise were an ancient Celtic clan that roamed this southeastern county. So Lárag's port is what it means in Irish, and the port of Lárag. But the Viking name is Valderafjord, and that's where the name that we use every day comes from, Waterford. So Valderafjord is said to mean the fjord, as in like a sea inlet, the fjord of the rams, because rams and sheep used to be exported from here. But it could also be in reference to the weather and the fact that Waterford was a sheltered place that the ships could be protected from the harsh windy weather. So it could be either one. So moving on then to Cork. So Cork comes from the Irish word corcach, which means a marsh or a swamp. Corcach. The city was founded by St. Finbar on the edge of a marsh, and that's pretty much how the name came about, Corcach, which is quite fitting because Cork regularly suffers from flooding, especially at high tides, so the name kind of stuck with it that way. Moving on to Kerry then, which is next door to Cork. The Irish for Kerry is CIARRAT, CIARRAT, and this is said to mean the descendants of the tribe of Clár. Clár in Irish also means a dark-skinned person, or it can mean black or something of very sallow skin. So it could be that a long time ago the descendants had slightly darker skin than the rest of the tribes and clans around Southern Ireland. This could have been possibly to do with the interaction between Iberian fishermen and people from Southern Ireland. But the name comes about anyway because it's named after CIARRAT, the descendants of the tribe of Clár. This was said to be a place west of Abbeyfeale where they more or less roamed for the most part, and this territory was called Ciarrick, and that's where the modern day name comes from, CIARRAT, and it's anglicised to Kerry. Next then is Limerick. In Irish, LUIMNEACH, and this comes from the Irish word lumnacht, which means bear. So the name Limerick basically means a vast bare spot with not a whole lot of plants or trees or anything like that. So that's Limerick. Moving up then we have the county of Clare, and in Irish this is on Clár. This means a level or a level area or a vast plain. And this is easy to remember because in Irish, Biachlár is a menu, and that's always going to be flat for the most part anyway. A clár can be a piece of wood, which is flat. And when I was in school, DUBH was a blackboard, DUBH, which of course is flat. So Clare in Irish is on Clár, and that basically means the level or the vast plain. Moving up the west coast then to Galway, in Irish this is GAILLIMH, said to be named after the river GAILLIMH, which is now called the Corrib River. And this river was said to be very, very stony, and that's where the name originates from. GAILLIMH basically means stony, or area of lots of stones. But there is some controversy as to the place name here, because some people say that the name GAILLIMH comes from a local king's daughter who was drowned in the river a long time ago, and it was named after her. But most people say it means stony river or stony place after the river GAILLIMH. So up next then we have Mayo. So in Irish it sounds very similar, Mayo, and this literally means the plain of the yew trees. And yew trees will come up a lot in Irish place names, particularly in towns and villages around the country. So May just means a plain or area of vast land, and O at the end there is like in reference to the yew trees. Next then we have Sligo, and in Irish this is Sligoch, and this means shelly place, or place that's abundant in shells, possibly due to the close proximity of shellfish and how you can catch a lot of shellfish up in Sligo. So that's where the name for Sligo comes from, shelly place. Moving on then to Donegal. So in Irish this is Dún na nGall, and this means the fort of the foreigners, named possibly after the Danes, aka the Vikings, who set up shop here and had a fort that they were defending for a certain period of time, and that's where the name comes from, the fort of the foreigners. Another name for Donegal as well is Tír Chonaill, in Irish Tír Chonaill, and this is said to be named after Chonaill, who was the son of Niall, and he was a brave warrior and a member of a local clan. But most people would use the name Dún na nGall for the Irish version in the present day. Next to Donegal then we have Derry. So the Irish for Derry is Dura, which means an oak grove. So basically that was said to be a place where a group of oak trees were growing. So Derry is often known as the Oak Leaf County. Next door then to Derry we have Antrim. This comes from two Irish words, Aon, which means single or lonely, and Drim, which means a ridge. So Antrim is pretty much known as the Lonely Ridge. Aon Trim, the Lonely Ridge. Down along the east coast then, we have County Down. So in Irish this is Doon, Doon, and this just means the fort or the fortress, Doon. Moving down along the east coast then we have Lou, which is Irish for County Louth, the smallest county in Ireland, and you should never forget the name of this county because in Irish Níos Lú and Islú means smaller and smallest, so it kind of neatly corresponds with the name of the county, Lou. But the name has nothing to do with the size of it. It's named after an ancient Celtic god called Lugh, and he was a master craftsman apparently, an incredibly intelligent warrior and highly skilled with his spear. So the name for County Louth comes from Lugh, who was an ancient Celtic god, and that's how it got the name. Meath is next. An Bhí is the Irish for Meath. An Bhí. This literally means the middle or the central, and it comes from the old Irish word midhe, which means middle or centre. Now this is said to be in reference to the key position that Meath held many years ago, when it was an incredibly important part of Ireland. So it means the middle, and then the county next door to it, Westmeath, then is An Iarraidh, An Iarraidh, and that means the west middle. So Westmeath, Meath and parts of Cavan would have been part of the ancient kingdom of Meath that would have made up the 5th province of Ireland a long time ago, but now currently Ireland only has 4 provinces. Kildare is next then. Kildare. This means the Oak Church. Kildare. So Kill is church and Dara is in reference to oak, and it's said to be named after a beautiful church made out of oak wood a long time ago. Longford is next. In Irish, An Longford. This pretty much means the fortress, possibly the riverside fortress, because long in Irish is ship, and then fort means like a fort or a port. So it could have been a fortress protected by ships, or a fortress in order to protect ships and boats, said to be built by the clan of the O'Farrells a long time ago. Next then we have Offaly, Eve Ollie, Eve Ollie. So this comes from, Offaly is basically named after a clan whose members were the descendants of the Fálaga family. These were ancient kings of Ireland between the years 120 and 123 AD, and that's where that name comes from, the descendants of the Fálaga clan. Laois is next. This comes from the Laois, people of LUIMNEACH, a tribe in ancient Ireland, and that's where the county gets its name, from the descendants of this tribe and in honour of the people of LUIMNEACH. Carlow is next. Cathaoirleach. So this means a place of many herds and a rich grazing area for animals like cows and sheep. It was thought that this possibly means 4 lakes, because Car is 4 and Loch in Irish is lakes. Some people think that this is named as in the 4 lakes that anciently formed around the River Barrow, but most modern observers think that it means herds or place of a rich grazing area. Next door to Carlow then we have Kilkenny, Kilcheannig, the Church of Canis. So Canis was a monastic founder. He was a priest and a missionary around the early medieval period, and he played a key role in converting people from Kilkenny from paganism into Christianity, and that's where the name comes from, in honour of the patron saint of Kilkenny, Canis. Kilcheannig, the Church of Canis. Tipperary is next. Tibrad Áran. So there's 2 words here. Tibrad comes from the Irish word tober, which means well, and Áran is in reference to the ancient territory of Áran that was around a long time ago, and it pretty much means the well of Ara. So the Ara is a river that currently runs through Tipperary, and it's named after that. So the well of Ara in honour of the ancient territory of Áran, and also the river Ara as well. Moving up to Leitrim then. So this comes from 2 Irish words, Lia, which is grey, and Grim, which means a ridge. So it literally means the Grey Ridge, possibly named after the landscape because Leitrim is quite a stony area with lots of grey and dark stones, so that's possibly where it got the name the Grey Ridge. Roscommon is next. Roscommon. This was named after a saint and abbot called Coman. He founded a monastery there around 550 AD, and he was crucial in terms of spreading Christianity around this area. So Roscommon means Coman's Wood. Coman's Wood, because Rus is another way of saying wood or woodland, and then Coman is the Irish for Coman. Tyrone is next. So Tír Chonaill, the country of Owen, or the land of Owen. This is said to be in honour of the descendants of Owen, whose father Neil was an incredibly brave warrior, and legend has it that Neil and his followers were said to have captured St. Patrick and brought him over to Ireland, and Owen developed a strong friendship with St. Patrick as well. So the name Tyrone comes from Tír Chonaill, the land of Owen, Owen being the son of the legendary warrior Neil. Armagh is next. In Irish is Ard Mhacha. Ard Mhacha, MACHA'S height. Said to be in honour of Queen Macha of the Golden Hair. She founded the Palace of Emania around 300 BC, and in honour of this ancient queen, a pagan sanctuary was built around the 3rd century, and this sanctuary was built at a height, and that's where the name comes from, MACHA'S height. Ard Mhacha, MACHA'S height. Next we have Cavan. Cavan is the Irish for Cavan, Cavan, and this literally means the hollow or the sunken area, or the area with plenty of valleys. Said to be named after the local landscape. Cavan can also mean a hard, round hill as well, possibly in reference to the many hilly areas around this part of Ireland. Fermanagh is next. Fermanagh. Fermanagh, the tribe of Fermanagh, the men of Monarch, who was an ancient king, and this is where the name comes from, after the ancient Celtic king, the men of Monarch. Monaghan is next, and in Irish is Muinneachán. Muinneachán. So there's kind of two words here. Muine means a thicket or an area of bush, like an overgrown bush, let's say. And achán is an old Irish word for field. So it's said to mean the field of the overgrown bushes, or the fields of thickets, let's say, in reference to the bushy and hilly areas around this part of Ireland. Muinneachán. It could also mean little hills as well, but that's Monaghan, Muinneachán. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you have any questions or comments, just let me know down below in the comments section. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back very soon. Slán go fóill.